PFF is running one of their biggest sales ever. 40% off a PFF Plus subscription right now using the promo code BLACKFRIDAY. That means that you get everything fully unlocked. You get the grades, you get the stats, you get all the fantasy advice, the betting advice, which our new player prop tool is available on web as well to make you a smarter, better. You've got all of the draft analysis, the free agency analysis, all of that great stuff. Subscribe.pff.com to get 40% off a year-long PFF Plus subscription. Get it now. Bears and Eagles. Where are we starting with this game, Dalton?
I think there's a very simple factor that could decide this game. Look, the Bears defense leads the league in takeaways and interceptions. 24 takeaways total, 16 of them interceptions. And look, for as much as we complain about the Eagles, and they're not that explosive, they're not running the ball well, this and that, they still have a lot of wins because they don't give the football away at all. Only 6 turnovers all year and only 1 interception from Jalen Hurts, playing a safe brand of football, a 1% turnover-worthy play rate. That is the best among all qualified quarterbacks. I really think the game could just come down to that, more so than any specific matchup on the offensive side for the Eagles against the Bears defense. I don't think the Bears defense is consistently great, but Dennis Allen's unit knows how to take the football away. If the Eagles can prevent that from happening, as they do most weeks, then I think they're going to be fine because the Bears defense still needs some work. We'll see if the run game can get going against that Bears defensive line. The secondary has been playing better of late, in part because they get their hands on the football, but I really think this game could just come down to turnovers. If the Eagles continue to not turn the football over and play that safe brand of football they do, I think they put the Bears defense in a tough spot.
Yeah, speaking of turnovers, I mean, Caleb's only have 1 turnover-worthy play under pressure over the last month. And so you look at a defense with Vic Fangio that knows how to dial up the pressure, whether it's a regular front or blitzing or whatever it is. I mean, I feel like they really know how to get after the quarterback, and they know how to do that well, but Caleb just hasn't really put the ball in harm's way under pressure. Obviously, we talked about last week against the Pittsburgh Steelers, how he had those 3 turnover-worthy plays that were not great from him, but specifically under pressure, I think that he has been pretty reliable. So it's been a nice trend for Caleb overall, even though last week there was a little bump in the road with all those turnovers that he had against the Steelers. He still got the win, so that was great for them. But when it comes to the Bears versus Eagles matchup specifically, I think everybody thinks of Quinyon Mitchell. They think of Cooper DeJean. They think of Reed Blankenship. They think of what Zach Bond and Jahad Campbell are in coverage in the middle of that defense. And they think that, okay, really good coverage unit that we have in Philadelphia. And I think for the most part they are. But that other cornerback spot, specifically the one that's been occupied by Adoree Jackson, has been a struggle, especially last week. When you look at Adoree Jackson last week before he went out of the game with concussion-like symptoms, 32.0 coverage grade. 6 targets, 4 catches allowed, 64 yards, 1 touchdown allowed. I mean, that's the guy that you pick on. And Jackson was a full participant at practice earlier this week, and so it looks like he's going to play here on Black Friday. And I just look at the Bears, and I've been very complimentary over the last really month or so, couple of weeks, month or so, at how this team is able to utilize now all of the passing weapons that are at their disposal. It's Rome Odunze, it's DJ Moore, it's Luther Burden, it's Colson Loveland, it's Cole Kmet, it's the guys out of the backfield as well. They could just go to so many different players. And with that being the case, I think that Ben Johnson spoke earlier this season about how he doesn't love the 50-50 passes, the contested catch opportunities, because he's like, I'd rather just scheme something up to where it's an easier throw. So I don't always love relying on that. I think they're going to take a look at the weakness in Philadelphia, again, specifically that third cornerback spot, and say, how do we scheme up this offense to where we are putting that defender in conflict constantly? And so I think this is shaping up to be a fantastic game. If Caleb continues to play the way that he has for the greater part of this month, I think this is going to be a really good game. But I do think that Philly wins it. I'm going to go with the Philadelphia Eagles 24-20. I know I feel like with the Eagles blowing a 21-point lead last week, everybody's ready to dance on their grave. See, I told you Philly's no good. Yeah, look, I still think this is one of the most talented teams in the NFL. Obviously, blowing a 21-point lead, nobody wants to do, but I still think this is a strong team. I actually still think they get it done here, mainly because of the point that you brought up, where I just don't think Jalen Hurts puts the ball in harm's way very often. And I think that is how the Bears have taken advantage of a lot of teams this season. So playing a really good team, which starts a really tough stretch here for Chicago, I wonder if this is going to be a little bit of a wake-up call for them going up against a really good team to see what they're like down the stretch as well. I'll go Philadelphia here 24-21.
I think the Eagles, their conservative approach in general is going to keep this game close. I don't see them running away with it because we just haven't seen them run away with games very often, if at all, this year. The two questions you have for the Bears offense are the war in the trenches you're about to see between the Bears offensive line and the Eagles defensive line is going to be outstanding. You talk about Darnell Wright against Jalen Phillips on the edge, the interior with Drew Dahlman and those guys against Jalen Carter and Jordan Davis, Moro Ajomo. How well can the Bears, how often, I should say, can the Bears lean on that offensive line to run the football effectively? And then the question for when you're going against Ben Johnson is how can you defend the middle of the field? The Eagles are still one of the best teams in the NFL defending the middle of the field. I think this is going to be a pretty ugly defensive game, honestly. I think it's going to be conservative on both sides. I don't think Johnson wants to expose Caleb Williams to too much, especially early in the game. I'm taking Philadelphia 22-19.